Well, it's changed in so many ways in the last 10, 15 years now. It's gotten both more complicated and simpler in a way that's somewhat confusing to people. It's more complicated because there's so many more things we can do, video and audio and animation. It's gotten simpler because the technology's gotten better. So you don't have to learn all the technical coding to do very sophisticated things online now. So there's this interesting mixed blessing going on the internet of more complexity but better tools that make it easier. I am completely enamored with mobile and this evolution of the web to something you can hold in your hands or use on a tablet and anywhere, anytime content. So I now am connected to the internet almost everywhere I go, almost all the time. Last night at dinner we were talking about different derivations of words, and right away you could Google it and find out what was going on. So this always being connected on the internet is really an exciting evolution, and I think a very transformative part of what's going on in society right now. Well, obviously I'm a fan of Dreamweaver. I've written every edition of Dreamweaver For Dummies. But I use a wide range of tools. You'd be surprised how much time I spend in Photoshop, developing the visual elements that might go in, or using Premiere to edit some video before I bring it in. I also use tools like WordPress, and WordPress and Dreamweaver are not mutually exclusive. Lots of websites are built with one and then linked to the other. Often I use Dreamweaver to edit WordPress blogs. So increasingly I use a combination of tools: Dreamweaver, WordPress, Photoshop, Premiere, Fireworks, so many great tools. Well, Dreamweaver has gotten better and better at mobile, and really the evolution of mobile. In the early days, you said, well, we've got this desktop website, now we need a second website for mobile. The latest thinking is to do something called responsive design. And responsive design is a very smart approach that involves creating one web page with multiple style sheets that are set to adapt to different size screens. It's a much more efficient way to build a website because you build one website and it works on all of those devices, automatically adjusting to whatever the user is using, instead of having to build multiple versions of your site and then update multiple versions. So Dreamweaver's gotten better and better at doing responsive design, and there's actually a whole new component in Dreamweaver CS6 that's called the fluid grid layout, and I know that's just going to get better and better as the versions continue. The biggest challenge for developers is there's so many things you can do on the internet today. So you learn HTML, you learn CSS, you get pretty good at building a website, and then somebody says, I want to add e-commerce. Well, now there are a dozen different tools in the world of e-commerce, and how do you choose between adding PayPal buttons or building a sophisticated Magento website? These are very different approaches to e-commerce. Then somebody comes along and says, I want a forum on my site, and there's another collection of tools to choose from. So I think one of the things to keep in mind is that you learn web design, you learn the basics, you can build beautiful websites. But as you go to add some of these specialized features, just be aware in each of those categories, there's probably a range of options from simple to complex, and it's all about finding the one that best fits the project you're trying to do. I think like any complicated software tool, the first time you look at Dreamweaver, it can be a little confusing. There are all these different panels and options, and just keep in mind that it's helpful to have an overview. Flipping through the book, kind of getting a general sense of what's possible is a great place to start. But then remember, you don't have to learn to use every tool in Dreamweaver to build a great website. So honing in on what are the features you need for your website and putting most of your learning time in that area will help you use the tool more efficiently.